CZ P-09c Nocturne versus Springfield Hellcat RDP. A concealed carry comparison. We're back out here at the beautiful Banner shooting range, doing another video in our P-09c Nocturne series. Today, the Nocturne is going head-to-head against an unexpected pistol that, well, I would say unexpected in the way on how similar in size it is, at least in terms of how it's set up. The Springfield Hellcat RDP. Now, some people are going to wonder, why aren't you doing the Hellcat Pro? Though, as you can see from this graphic, when the Hellcat has the compensator and then a 15-round magazine inserted, it's much more similar in size to the Nocturne than many would believe. So let's see how the Nocturne does today, going head-to-head against the Hellcat. We'll start with the Hellcat, 15 rounds at our bottom left target, and then I'll do 15 rounds from our P-09c. We'll reload, maybe mix in some double taps. You get the idea. Let's get started. Here we go. Camera got scared. Let's redo that. Here we go. One shot. I don't know where the first shot went. I haven't shot the RDP in a little bit, so I got to figure out the sights again. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, 14 more. Here we go. Yeah, I think we did 14 of 15 on our target. Let's move now to our Nocturne. We'll do the bottom right target, and since we have the micro red dot attached, we're just going to go ahead and use that. Might as well. Here we go. First shot will be double action, since this would be a duty style pistol, and if I was going to carry it in the holster, it would be with the hammer down. Here we go. There's thick today. Okay, 15 of 15 on our target. Let's reload. We'll mix in some double taps this time. I only have the one 15-round Hellcat magazine. For the second one, we're going to shoot an 11-round magazine. So we'll probably mix in 4 sets of double taps in there. Here we go. Same target. No, actually, I'll shoot at the top left-hand target so we can see if any hit the target. Here we go. Nine of 11 on the target. Looks like the 10th one is on the paper. I don't know where the 11th one went. Our Nocturne, since us having two 15-round magazines, it's going to have a 4-shot advantage. We'll still try to mix in 4 sets of double taps. Here we go. Top right-hand target. First shot, double action. Okay, we'll do a double action to single action for our last two, if my math is correct. My math wasn't correct. Looks like 13 of 15, a pretty wide group out there. Usually I say that I don't think the compensator does much, but it felt like today that compensator on the RDP did actually help maybe reduce recoil. What I'll do is I'll reload. We'll use the high-speed camera. I'll try to stand in the same spot for both firearms so we can assess which one has more muzzle rise. For our newer viewers and those unfamiliar with these firearms, we're first going to do a brief breakdown on the numbers and features of each firearm, starting with the P-09c Nocturne. The CZ P-09c Nocturne is an external hammer-fired, compact, double-stack magazine-fed pistol chambered in 9mm Luger. It is 7.3 inches long, 5.4 inches high, 1.5 inches wide, and weighs in at 26.1 ounces unloaded. This pistol has a 3.74-inch steel cold hammer forged barrel. The Nocturne has a steel slide and barrel, a fiberglass reinforced polymer frame. It uses CZ's Omega trigger system, which allows you to easily swap from decocker to safety and vice versa with no real special tools. It's optics ready without needing a plate. It comes with iridescent, aka glow-in-the-dark sights. It has a replaceable backstrap system, allowing you to customize the grip slightly to accommodate smaller or larger hands. And it comes with two 15-round magazines. The iridescent sights on the Nocturne are a 3-dot sight system. The sights are unfortunately made of plastic, though they are drift adjustable for windage, and the rear sight has the anti-glare U-notch. With the CZ P-09c being external hammer fired, one feature some users appreciate is that it has a double action to single action trigger. It can also be fired from the half cock, which is what the hammer drops to when the decocker is used. In double action, the trigger comes in around 9.5 pounds, from the half cock around 7.5 pounds, and in single action around 4.5 pounds, all those off my scale. Now, with this being double action to single action, many users, if they're going to carry it as a duty firearm, would carry it with hammer down, where your first trigger pull is that longer, stouter double action or from the half cock trigger pull. Though what this also means is you need to train to get used to that transition on your first to second shot from that double action to single action trigger. The Nocturne is optics ready from CZ. It has the Shield RMS and Holosun K footprints. Also, the rear sight remains when an optic is attached. The Springfield Hellcat RDP is a striker-fired, double-stack magazine-fed micro-compact pistol chambered in 9mm Luger. It is 7 inches long, 4 inches high, 1 inch wide, and weighs in at 19.3 ounces unloaded. This pistol has a 3.8-inch steel barrel. The Hellcat has a stainless steel slide with the melanite finish, a steel barrel, in this case it is threaded for the 1/2 by 28 thread pattern, which also has that melanite finish. It has a polymer frame. This firearm is optics ready with the Shield RMS footprint. The RDP comes with Springfield's self-indexing compensator, which is an aircraft-grade anodized aluminum compensator. It has Springfield's Gen 2 Hellcat trigger. Springfield touts it as the highest capacity Micro 9 on the planet. It comes with one 11-round and one 13-round magazine. The sights on the Hellcat are a tritium front sight and a U-notch rear sight. The striker-fired trigger on the Springfield Hellcat is a Gen 2 flat-face trigger that has a trigger shoe safety. Off my gauge, it comes in at approximately 6 pounds. Being a striker-fired trigger, you have that same trigger pull throughout your magazine from your first shot all the way to your last shot, which many users are going to enjoy. As far as that compensator goes, here you can see a close-up of the compensator that comes with the RDP. I want to say Springfield used to call it auto-indexing, now calls it self-indexing. It doesn't require any tools to uninstall or reinstall it on your firearm. I do find that it does provide a slight but faintly noticeable difference in terms of felt recoil and speed on how quick the firearm gets back on target after firing. In today's video, we're mostly looking at the 15-round magazine to help get the RDP closer to that compact pistol size. Though being in the micro-compact class, a wide variety of magazine sizes are available, ranging from 10, 11, 13, 15, and 17-round magazines. The RDP is also optics ready. It comes with the Shield RMS footprint. And another nice aspect of this optics ready slide is the rear sight remains when the optic is attached, unlike on some other firearms. All right, let's do that high-speed camera, 10 shots. I'll aim the Hellcat. We'll aim the Hellcat top left target. I have my right foot on a line, so if you see me looking down, that's so that way I can make sure I'm standing on the line to make sure I'm standing in the same spot for both. Here we go, top left target. I'll do maybe 2 sets of double taps in the middle. Here we go. Okay, failure to eject. Okay, here we go, the double taps. Standing in the same spot. Now with our P-09c at the top right-hand target. Okay, some double taps. Okay, was checking our witness marks. We're still standing on the line. One of those we somehow miraculously hit the bullseye. For its and giggles, I'm going to do 5 shots from the new Bodyguard 2 carry comp at the far right-hand target. We'll probably do a set of double taps in the middle. Here we go. Four or five on the target, 5 of 5 on the paper, a little to the left. 2 little trigger finger. That's where I struggle with these gloves on, is getting a good, consistent trigger pull point. Felt like the Bodyguard 2 carry comp had the least amount of felt recoil, which would make sense being 380 and compensated, and the low bore axis of the Bodyguard 2. To finish out the day with our P-09c Nocturne versus Hellcat RDP, I've set out 2 of our 2-inch challenge targets. I'll take 5 shots with each firearm at the challenge target. We'll start with the RDP, 5 shots at the left-hand challenge target. Helps if I actually use the Hellcat magazine. Here we go. And I'm going to stand on that same line just in case. I feel like we were all around the target. Let's see if we can do any better with the Nocturne at our right-hand challenge target. Here we go. I think we have one that might be a dead center bullseye, one just above that, one a little to the left that might be touching the target. I think the other two were just off of our business card. Because the Nocturne has a optic attached, and that obviously factored into our accuracy on the little target, I'm going to load 5 more into our RDP because I don't want to leave that left hand untouched. We'll see. And see if with 5-shot handicap, if it can do any better. Here we go. Survey says, nay, nay. In today's video, we took a look at 2 firearms that, while on paper, they're in different size classes. Depending on how you have one set up, it gets a little closer to that compact class than it starts with the micro compact. Let me do a little spin for you. Now, which firearm do you think I'm carrying and where? And then I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to switch which firearm I'm carrying. All right, here we go. Let me do that other spin for you. And now, which firearm am I carrying and where? Well, the longtime viewers of our channel who have seen a few of these videos will know that I'm probably carrying at the small of my back in sort of the kidney position. And right now, I currently have the Hellcat RDP with that 15-round magazine was in my holster. This is the firearm where I said one of these firearms, depending on how you configure it, goes into that compact class. The RDP is in that micro compact double stack class. When we use something like the 11-round magazine, and I believe you can even get these without the pinky extension, it's a much shorter firearm compared to our P-09c, though I have the RDP model, Rapid Defense Package, that has the threaded barrel and the self-indexing compensator on it, which adds a good inch to the length of this firearm, making it longer than the Hellcat Pro and much more similar in length, almost identical in length, to our P-09c than the Hellcat would be without that threaded barrel and compensator attached. So in what starts out as the micro compact class, with the addition of the 15-round magazine, which I think now you can even get up to 17 or 19-round magazines, which will be even longer. You have the added length of the threaded barrel and the compensator, the added height of the extended magazine, and it goes from being what started as a micro compact and is now, for all intents and purposes, a compact pistol. You may notice on mine from the pictures that I have the Hogue grip sleeve on there. That isn't to help with the whip as much as it is to help blunt some of the recoil. And I'm glad at the start of today's video I didn't voice my predictions that I had, because I would have said that I thought the Hellcat was going to be the loser of the day, where the snappiness and the recoil were going to enable the P-09c to shoot significantly better. Though, to my surprise, while the Hellcat RDP might have had slightly more felt recoil, it really wasn't that much more noticeable in my experience. And I would go as far as to say I did notice the difference of the compensator on the RDP compared to on our P-09c, which, let me go to that slow-mo footage now.
When we look at our double taps footage, we can see in one of those double taps that maybe the P-09c was 1 or 2 frames quicker on that second shot. And in the second shot, that the Hellcat was, I don't know, 3 or 5 frames faster on that follow-up shot. And what I chalk that up to in this case is not the compensator. It's actually me being not very well practiced at all still with this micro red dot optic and hunting for that optic to see the dot to get my second shot off trying to hit the target. While I do shoot this P-09c pretty regularly, not as regularly as, say, my Bodyguard 2, I shoot iron sights so much more that it's hard for me to really ever feel that much comfort with the micro red dot compared to iron sights. It just gets outweighed. Like 5% of the time I'm shooting with the red dot, 95% of the time I'm shooting iron sights, we'll say. So as a result, I think the follow-up shots on our Hellcat were faster. The one thing I believe I see in that slow-mo footage is, even though we're going to call it a wash in terms of the second shot speed, that I can see the Hellcat getting down from the recoil. That's where I notice the difference, is that while there's probably slightly more muzzle rise, it returns to the target faster compared to our P-09c. Now, that could easily be also chalked up to what we'll call my persistent uncomfortableness with the micro red dot and searching for that and just not getting the firearm back down on target as fast. Very probable that that's actually the case. Though, again, I do notice a very, very fractional amount of benefit to having the compensator on the RDP in terms of that speed of getting back on target with your follow-up shot. Though I think that comes at the expense of concealability. If you're someone who's in the boat where the length of the pistol affects how concealable the firearm is for you, adding another inch or so to the length of that firearm is going to affect how concealable it is. Though if you're someone who believes that the height of the pistol is what affects your ability to conceal the firearm, with that 15-round magazine adding about an inch of height to the firearm is going to make it less concealable. Enter, of course, these shorter magazines. Let's put this down for a moment. Again, as I said a little earlier in our conclusion, that you don't have to use the 15-round magazine. You can very easily, if you're someone that's not capacity enamored, go with the 11-round magazine flush fit and have a much more concealable pistol in terms of the height of the firearm. Now, in terms of accuracy and reliability of these firearms, both these firearms have been extremely reliable. I can't think of an ammo they don't like. And in terms of accuracy, I would certainly say that today's video was a good example of firearms more accurate than the person demonstrating them. The accuracy gap I would say we saw in today's video, while I'm more comfortable with iron sights like on this Hellcat RDP, the fact that we were doing slow, measured shots for a good portion of this video enabled me to still shoot more effectively in terms of my accuracy and precision, in my opinion, with the P-09c. And again, that just comes down to the advantages of a red dot on a pistol compared to the iron sights. And when you have your red dot dialed in, how easy it is to be pinpoint when you have that very tiny red dot compared to a much larger iron sight obscuring your target. Now, in terms of capacity, I have 15-round magazines with our P-09c. I also have a 15-round magazine for the Hellcat, so capacity is a wash. Though some people, again, will find benefit to using the lower capacity, the 13, the 11-round magazine, to make the Hellcat RDP, I should say, to make the Hellcat RDP a little more concealable than, say, the P-09c. Both these firearms, as I said, optics ready, though you may need a plate depending on your choice of optics. And for iron sights, I would say, because I'm a fan of having a tritium iron sight, that the Hellcat with its tritium front sight wins out the day. While the P-09c does have a decent set of 3-dot sights, they're the iridescent, aka glow-in-the-dark sights. And I don't know about you, but if I'm going into the dark, shall we say, I'm not going to pull out my pistol and charge up the iron sights using a flashlight before doing so. I like something where I don't have to worry about charging up the sights, that they always glow in the dark, at least for 6 or 10 years before that half-life takes it out. So tritium for me wins the day. Though if you don't care about things like night sights, some people are certainly going to gravitate more towards the sights on the P-09c and others to the Hellcat. As far as holsters go, at least in my area, I can go to multiple stores and I can find quite a few different holsters that are actually ready-made off the shelf for the Hellcat RDP even. Though unfortunately, none of the stores in my area carry holsters still for the P-09c, P-07, especially ones that are optics ready like what I have now. Though luckily there are holster companies that make them either custom off the internet or that you can buy what we'll call more bulk ones off Amazon. And of course the Amazon ones are going to be a little more reasonably priced, though maybe a little rougher around the edges than the significantly more expensive custom shop ones you'll find on the inner tube. So all in all, while the P-09c in that compact class on paper is the larger firearm than our Hellcat RDP, depending on how you have the RDP set up, it gets basically into that compact class. So even though while the Hellcat RDP is probably a little snappier pistol, there's things you can do like adding the Hogue grip sleeve on it that help mitigate that extra snappiness, that get it much closer to something like your P-09c. And, well, the P-09c, with it being a polymer framed duty gun, it still has a little more felt recoil than, say, a metal framed compact pistol of the same size. So might shoot slightly less recoil than the RDP, but many people aren't going to notice that difference at the end of the day. So overall, I would say you have two excellent pistols, and depending on your preference, if you want something a little larger, slightly larger, depending on your setup, external hammer fired, very customizable, you probably go with the P-09c. So if you want something that is customizable in terms of, do you have a lot of options to size up or size down, things like that auto indexing compensator that is also optics ready, well, you might think about the Hellcat RDP. Either way, we have two excellent, reliable, accurate firearms that, when carried in a good holster and concealed equals concealed, then you have two very good choices. Well, anyway, that seems like the perfect spot to end today's video. If you enjoyed today's presentation, like the video, share it with your friends and family. Those things are free, and they really help the channel greatly. If you didn't enjoy today's video, mess up and hit the like button anyway. It helps us greatly, and no one's going to know you did it. Fred and I really appreciate you getting this far. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a good day.
Not enough teas, boss. Gotta pay more teas.
Oh, stealing all your booty first. Oh, you worked hard for those booty first, huh?
Oh, the cork of hair coming off you, Frederick.
All right, let's get your booty brushed out. Come on, rotate around here. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. I don't like that one, Bot. It steals all the hairs I've been working for. It does, huh?
All right, we'll get you with the finish brush. Look at this. Grade A